In this WrestleTalk news, NXT done as we know it, Adam Cole turns down AEW potentially, who was behind the WWE releases and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news. Dancing.
Support WrestleTalk!
It's only August, and it's been a pretty wild wrestling year already. WWE released Bray Wyatt. John Cena returned. AEW is now consistently pulling in 1 million viewers. WWE released Braun Strowman. CM Punk might go to AEW. Daniel Bryan let his WWE contract expire after wrestling in the WrestleMania main event. Daniel Bryan might go to AEW. WWE released Aleister Black. Samoa Joe wore a poncho. And now, Dixie Carter makes her Ring of Honor debut. No, stop it! That's too far! Wrestling news just jumped the shark! That's ridiculous! Seriously? God damn it, wrestling! The former TNA president Carter opened ROH's women's division Wednesday. It's a good name because it's got alliteration in it. Where she wished everyone luck in the championship tournament. Maybe this Forbidden Door thing is getting out of hand. But at least it means there's far more viable WWE alternatives for wrestlers to work at for more than a decade. Which is needed as those shock NXT cuts during Friday's SmackDown likely won't be the last, as a new report says the black and gold brand is getting a complete overhaul. We're in the end game now, Tony. Developmental is actually being sent back to developmental. WWE released 12 members of the NXT roster on Friday night. Some were newcomers that had hardly done anything yet, like the freshly signed Asher Hale. Others have been there for years and never really broken through, like Kona Reeves. And some were prominently featured stars seemingly set for the main roster, like former North American champion Bronson Reed, who was getting tryout matches for Raw and SmackDown just last month. But as varied as the names appear, small, big, young, old, they do have one thing in common. WWE doesn't think any of them will ever be WrestleMania main eventers. Multiple sites are reporting NXT is undergoing a drastic strategic shift since losing the Wednesday Night Wars against AEW. Whatever the WWE state propaganda division tells you, NXT going to USA Network was not always the plan. It was a calculated move to take away viewers from AEW. That meant they had to focus on the same sort of indie wrestling, battling over the same pool of cool indie talent. But that didn't work. Now AEW is becoming more viable competition to Raw. PW Insider is reporting WWE is making major changes for the NXT brand, which will include a focus on younger talent with a different weekly format, potentially even with new lighting, a new presentation, and even a new logo. Friday's releases appears to be a part of those changes. Dave Meltzer expanded on this on Wrestling Observer Radio. WWE think a lot of the NXT competitors are too small and too old. The original idea of NXT was to be developmental and to get guys with the mentality of we're trying to find guys who can main event WrestleMania. The basic feeling is they lost a war. This is the aftermath, and this is the new direction. The new direction is younger guys and bigger guys. The wording is no more midgets, no one starting in their 30s, and people who can be box office attractions and main characters. Because that's what WWE needs right now, more main roster. What do you think of NXT's future if this really is the direction? Could it become a good version of the main roster under Triple H's guidance? Or is it destined to become just another show like 205 Live and Main Event? Let me know in the comments down below because I'll be replying to people for the first 30 minutes after this video goes live from out of nowhere. Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this episode's sponsor. I've got to go tell Pete this. He'll like this. Hey Pete, guess what I've got to tell you?
No, Ollie, you can't do this. We're not friends right now. We're in the middle of a blood feud. You can't just come in here and raid bomb me. That's not how this works.
It's Raid Shadow Legends, which you can download using my links below now to your mobile phone or PC. If you haven't heard of Raid Shadow Legends already, then do you even internet, bro? It's only the biggest dark fantasy RPG game with millions of real players and champion characters, with a fully fleshed out campaign mode, PvP arena matches, and dungeon runs, where you'll eventually run into this bastard, the Fire Knight. One of the toughest dungeon bosses in the game, aka Fyro the Infamous, aka Ooh, he's got eyeballs on his shield. Fyro was once a proud knight of Volcar, but he committed regicide, which is fancy speak for killing a king, while at a peace summit with the Frost King, becoming bound by his own people to guard Volcar's treasures. The best way to defeat him is lots of hits to get him to drop his shield, which makes him immune to damage, and then you can start hurting him. Best to use Arbiter, Apothecary, Allure, and Cold Heart to take him down. The character designs are still my favourite part about Raid, and is what keeps me coming back to the game. I mean, just look at my Mystic hand. Look at the artwork. The invisible hand's got nothing on old Mystic. The latest update has also just seen a ton of amazing new clan features added, with brand new quests for you and your clan to work on, and even a clan shop to get some incredibly powerful items. If you want to get a huge head start, download Raid using our links in the video description below, or simply scan my QR code and you'll get the epic hero Chinuru, 200,000 silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, and 1 ancient shard to summon yourself another champion as soon as you get in the game. All this treasure will be waiting for new players here for the next 30 days. Raid have been huge supporters of us for years, so please do at least click the link and check them out. Support WrestleTalk and raid that raid. While Friday's releases may have come as a shock, a new backstage corporate hiring suggests this has been in the works for at least a month, with WWE employing a new senior vice president of talent ID and development called Trent Wilfinger, who announced on Twitter, "Excited to share that I will be joining the WWE as their new SVP of Talent ID and Development. I look forward to working side by side with James Kimball under the leadership of Triple H to help bring to life a game-changing vision and strategy." True or false? Trent Wilfinger. Wilfinger has previously worked for the Arizona Diamondbacks and Coyotes, but far more applicable is his role as a senior vice president for the sports division at Exos, a personalized performance training institute that apparently generates between $100 and $500 million a year. Interestingly, Wilfinger will be effectively replacing Canyon Ceman after Ceman was released. Last month, around the same time WWE learned that Adam Cole's contract was expiring far sooner than they thought, like right now. But while there was reportedly a lot of unhappiness with Ceman in WWE, as his role is always going to get a lot of heat from the wrestlers, Fightful Select writes many backstage in NXT prefer the devil they know. Apparently NXT's backstage morale is at a new low, and there were a lot of concerns about the brand's direction with Ceman being let go. Especially after a few names were passed on at recent tryouts that some in NXT thought would be slam dunks. WWE really do seem to be changing what they're looking for, and the smaller, older talent are seeing that as a red flag. A name that might include Johnny Gargano. The Young Bucks, as is their trollish heel way, updated their Twitter bio over the weekend to read, "Very tall, not in our 30s, in reference to the reports WWE is now looking for big young wrestlers. A joke which longtime NXT main eventer Gargano has publicly liked a picture of on his Twitter. But who is behind all these firings? While WWE President Nick Khan has reportedly been the driving force behind the mass releases since WrestleMania 37, Meltzer says the recent round of NXT Cuts was actually made by Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and John Laurinaitis, which is just a longer way of saying Vince McMahon, with Pritchard and Laurinaitis infamously considered by many as glad-handed, nonsensical, douchebag yes men. Those three men just so happened to be the trio that made a rare visit to the Performance Center last month to assess new talent for the main roster. PW Insider reported at the time that talent were initially nervous about the trip, given all the recent cuts, but it turned out very well, with one even describing it as a breath of fresh air. Little did they know their guests were likely thinking how to completely overhaul the place and fire a bunch of people as they did. The important names missing there, though, are of course the people who actually run NXT, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Meltzer first said they didn't have anything to do with the cuts, but then clarified they would have had to have been in the meetings in some way. Fightful Select adds that while McMahon could put a stop to the releases, the cuts were a collaborative effort, and that releases will be a regular thing moving forward after the company's strategy of talent stashing since 2018 to keep wrestlers away from their competitors, while also planning to open up performance centers around the world as part of Triple H's localized globalization plan. Doesn't sound like an evil, well-taken takeover plan at all that saw NXT UK start up and reported plans for NXT Japan and NXT Mexico. You'd assume those overseas PCs are being scrapped, which does not look good for the bloated roster of the hardly watched UK promotion. But there is always one exception to the rule. Bay. Thanks for your support on Patreon. He's no jackass, Dano, and no one names their kid this anymore, Larry. Despite all the NXT releases and reports of a direction change to focus on big young guys, the same company is also pulling out all the stops to re-sign the 32-year-old, 6 feet tall, in kayfabe, Adam Cole Bay. As previously mentioned with Siemens' release, Cole's contract accidentally expired last month, and he's currently working with WWE on a verbal agreement while they work out something new. The Wrestling Observer reported AEW offered him a contract, so WWE discussions went into overdrive at Friday Night SmackDown. Coincidentally, the same time Cole's Undisputed Era buddy Bobby Fish was released from NXT, where Adam met with Vince McMahon personally at the taping. Perhaps as a way to distract him from the cuts. Fightful now adds that Vince considered it a high priority, and the meeting went well with McMahon taking a personal liking to Cole. WWE have apparently told Cole they want him on the main roster, and both Raw and SmackDown have started making creative pitches for him backstage if he re-signs. There is a rumour from a pretty unreliable source gaining traction on Twitter though, that WWE offered Cole a $1 million a year contract, saying that's a 10 times increase on his NXT deal, meaning he'll be staying in WWE. Take that with a huge, life-threatening pinch of salt though, as that doesn't fit in with WWE's current cost-cutting narrative at all. Although, that also doesn't make sense with the company making the most money it ever has done. What I'm trying to say is, I don't know what to believe anymore. But Cole's Bullet Club buddy Carl Anderson did interact with the rumour, quote retweeting it with a joke about their own WWE negotiations, where they were reportedly given multiple times money increases before being released themselves. Doc Gallows asked for a no-cut clause. I said, S-word. We don't need it. One more for the big guy. Face with tears of joy emoji. Fisted hand emoji. It remains to be seen if WWE offer Pete Dunne a similar big money offer to stay. Wrestling Observer have revealed his NXT contract formally expires on September 1st, which would let him walk straight into AEW for their all-out pay-per-view that Sunday if he chooses not to re-sign. But Buddy Murphy might knee-slap his way there first. Murphy's profile picture on Twitter is currently the 31st of August, the end of his 90-day non-compete clause, and he's just posted a 16-second teaser vignette of a man, likely him, wearing a prison outfit with the name badge BKS88. The production quality and style is similar to the short films Jon Moxley and Malachi Black posted ahead of their AEW debuts, with many speculating it could directly tie into the Black mental institution story, possibly reprising their WWE Forever feud in another company. It's not just me that's currently bossing fantasy booking, with me versus Alex Queen of the Ring competing in round 1 of their new fantasy booking warfare tournament on Parts for Known over the weekend. Please go watch that. Andrade is also booking himself a hell of a fantasy faction in AEW. Following Ric Flair's release last Monday, Meltzer is reporting Andrade has told people that he wants the whole family in AEW. And by the whole family, he means Roosh, Bestia, Dragon Lee, his fiancée Charlotte Flair, and her dad Rick. Nobody knows when Charlotte's WWE contract expires, but apparently it's something everybody is talking about behind the scenes.
The last few months in WWE have been depressing, haven't they? It seems like every other week some more budget cuts come to light, whether it's on-screen talent or employees from the corporate side. One of the more recent releases that had everyone up in arms was Bray Wyatt, but according to PW Insider, Bray Wyatt's wife, JoJo Offerman, who had worked as a ring announcer on the main roster from 2015 to 2018 before taking time away to give birth, was also released from the company 6 to 8 months ago.